Oh, that's a dope cover on X-Men.
All right, everybody ready here? I got like a brief outline, so I'll just kind of lead us along here. Let me just make sure I got everything ready, and then I'll do a clap, and we'll be good to go. What's the email there, Carl? Is Marvel Madness Pod?
MarvelMadnessPod@gmail.com.
So I got that right. So when I like look down at these notes, I don't fuck up. All right, ready, guys?
Ready?
All right, get my peppy voice going here. All right, how we doing, guys? Welcome to Marvel Madness. This is going to be officially episode number 1. I am Brandon. I'm joined by Carl and Trevitt. How we doing, guys?
What's going on, guys?
Not bad.
All right, so what we're going to do here, what our mission statement is for you is we're going to highlight 3 to 4 books for you guys and try to do that each and every week. You know, provide you a glimpse into the Marvel comic book universe. We're keeping you guys up to date on some of the latest news, titles, and things going on around the comic book, the comic books published by Marvel. And we're going to focus and split those things up into basically 3 families. We're going to split those families up into assignments for each one of the 3 of us, and we're going to kind of focus our expertise on those subjects and then question each other along the way there and have some fun. So I'm responsible for the Spider family. Trevitt, you're responsible for what there, man?
The X-Men and Inhumans families.
That
And
leaves
then Carl,
me
explain
responsible.
what your family really is.
So my family is basically everything else is the hero family. Basically, it's like Avengers,
you got
Captain America, anything else that's not basically a mutant, X-Men, or Spider family character.
Like the cosmic stuff too, though, right?
Yeah, cosmic stuff too.
Yeah. So we figured that was a pretty even way to split things up because there's pretty much like, 2 to 3 to 4 Spider-Man books each week. Lately 5 to 6 mutant-ish or Inhuman books each week, and then, everything else is filling in the gaps there of the hero family. So that's how things are split up, and then we're also going to keep you informed on the much rivaled and debated about Secret Empire. But really, what our goal is to keep the politics out of it and just tell you if it's a good book or not. That's my goal or the way I look at it or when I review it, my thoughts on it anyway. How about you?
Yeah,
man, just keep it to the book.
Yeah,
right?
Really it's a book. So is it good or is it not? What we do is we tell you to buy it, to borrow it, or to forget it altogether. There's no 10-point rating scale or anything like that. Essentially, is it worth your money or is it not? So we keep it simple in that regard. So with that being said, if you guys are looking to contact us, you enjoy this at all, or you think we suck, give us a call or holler at us at the email address marvelmadnesspod@gmail.com, and then Carl will respond back to you, and he will share the bad news or the good news with us, and cheer up or bring us down throughout our day, depending on what we need.
We are officially on iTunes now too. Fought that battle.
Oh, are we? Yep. Yeah, so Podbean, iTunes, start popping up in different places here. I'll have to check my random one I use, Player FM. Reggie said I'm the only one that uses that. He gets one download from that every week.
I've never even heard of that.
That's the one I use. So shout out to Player FM. That's me. So let's get into things here today with our debut episode and start things off with some news and notes before kicking around some thoughts on the books. Black Bolt #1, all new. Is it all new, all different, or just all new Guardians of the Galaxy?
All new Guardians of the Galaxy.
All new Guardians of the Galaxy #1, Spider-Man Deadpool 17, and then a little bit about Secret Empire #1. But nothing about the free comic book day issue because we're all still... besides internet rumors, pretty much in the dark about that one. We haven't grabbed it yet.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
So, God damn it, Marvel, release it free. It's a free issue. Put it on your app, will you? You know,
That's the one with Sorrentino art too. I'm excited for that Sorrentino art.
yeah, that's like that's the one I would pay for if he was the main artist. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna get into the news. Trevitt, you're gonna stop hearing from me. Trevitt's gonna take it away for a while and share some thoughts and excitement about things coming up on the Marvel side of the news.
All right. Originally I had a couple things, but two things, but I shaved it down to one because I didn't want to give any credence to the nonsense. So instead, I have some news about the Marvel movie universe, more or less a clarification. So if you saw Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend, and you notice that the Watchers were in there, and if you were confused or you're a nerd and you realize that Fox owns or thought Fox owns the Skrulls and the Watchers and all sorts of other things that were in the world of Fantastic Four, there's been some clarification. Now, the deal that Fox and Marvel kind of have is a little murky. Now, they can use races that we didn't know that they could use. So, for instance, they could use the Skrulls, but they can't use Super Skrull. They could use the Watchers, but possibly not Uatu. So maybe in the future we could get Kree-Skrull War or Secret Invasion. So that's totally on the table. And I believe after phase 3 or phase 4, they're not going to do phases anymore. So I think that's totally possible, and we can expect to see some crazy stuff going on in the future with that news.
All right. Anything else you heard of throughout the week, or the only thing I really thought was worth mentioning that I peeked about was that Marvel books are popping up on Comixology Unlimited. I really don't know to what extent, how many they got up there. I'm sure it's the level of what their Marvel Unlimited service, but if you already pay for Comixology Unlimited and that's something you use, that's a cool little bonus you're going to start seeing come across your tablet or your computer screen.
Most definitely.
Kyle, anything we forgot there that we didn't cover?
Not that I haven't seen anything news related. I just was looking at the Comixology app myself. That's $5.99 a month for that unlimited, which isn't really a bad price if you are interested in peeking at some of the back issues of Marvel. They don't have everything out, but
yeah, I think it's mostly split up into trades, like just a whole shitload of popular trades, pretty much.
Yeah, I saw some of the newer stuff on there too, like number ones of Marvel Now is already popping up on there, so it's not too far back, 2-3 months back, and it's still popping up on there.
Yeah. All right, so with
slow
that being said, yeah,
slow news because
week.
I mean there was a lot of news, but most of it was like political nonsense, so it's not even worth getting into.
Yeah, right. And then they don't probably want to release too much, popular news or anything that's going to take attention away from obviously their movie coming out this week, so it would be a slow news week for all that shit. But anyway, we got 4 books to bring to you guys today. We're going to start things off with a little cosmic adventure theme going in, and we're going to kick it off with Black Bolt #1. Now that is written by Saladin Ahmed. It's Christian Ward. Are you guys familiar with these two at all in any way, shape, or form? They do something I'm not aware of before.
No, I am not. I know a little bit about Christian Ward, Saladin Ahmed, because he wrote a letter in the back of the issue, and I think he's like an author and like a poet. And he's not American, he's a foreigner, but like growing up, he always read Marvel comics, and he actually learned to read and write through reading Marvel comics. So this job with Black Bolt, doing Black Bolt is like a big deal for him because he says he feels like he's coming home. So
right,
and it reads like an author wrote it. So
yeah, well, if you're not all the way up on Black Bolt, whose choice was this? Was this yours, Trevitt?
Yeah, it's my choice.
Yeah, Trevitt's going to give you a quick little 30-second history on how he got into this position he's in, because he does start the book off in like a jail cell, all binded up. So how the hell did Black Bolt get here? Because let me and probably any other normal comic fan doesn't read a ton of Inhumans, you know, based on sales, you know, just looking at it that way. So why is he in jail again after just being in jail and captured by the X-Men?
He's in jail this time. Last time it's because he was too powerful, but this time it's because, you know, he kind of put himself there. He was supposed to, at the end of Inhumans Prime, he was supposed to be taking Maximus to a prison. I don't think it was in particular this prison, but he was going to put Maximus in like this eternal prison. And instead, Maximus, you know, pulled the rug out from under him, knocked him out, switched identities with them by disguising each other, and threw Black Bolt into this eternal prison.
Okay, so that's how he's locked up in these shackles and stuff, and he doesn't remember. So he did this to himself, or no?
He didn't do it to himself, but he kind of did. You know, like he put himself in the situation, like, you know, to be here. Like,
Right.
If he wasn't trying to like lock up Maximus, he wouldn't be in this prison right now. You know, he'd be out in space with the Royals, like Maximus is.
Okay, so he's separated from the Royals at this point in time from that book. And what, he doesn't have has a loose memory of doing this to himself? Is that what I'm picking up on?
No, he wakes up
to get, like, before we get into the events, you know, of him, you know, going throughout this book, I just want to.
Yeah, like he wakes up in this prison, and, you know, he's bound, chained, muzzled, and at first he doesn't know where he is because, you know, he's been knocked out, he's a little fuzzy. And I also believe it's something that they did to him in this prison because of what goes on through the book. Like, you know, he keeps getting electrocuted, and you know, you know, I don't want to spoil the end right now, but it has to do with what happens to him at the end, like what we find out. So at first he doesn't remember where he is, but you know, then he gets shocked again, and he hears that "name your crimes, repent your crimes." So I don't know, like this
that like
weird
ringing thing that's going throughout the book. It's like the convergence babble that kept happening in all the books.
Yeah, and you find out, you know, so he doesn't know where he is or anything. He keeps hearing that voice, but then everything starts coming back to him, and somehow, you know, he looks down, and he's got those high-tech looking cuffs, like they're like mittens, one's on each hand, and I don't know what the hell's dripping off his face. I don't know if that's blood. This art is kind of crazy, you know. It looks like Phil Noto's, but only a little more artsy. The guy who does that Poe Dameron Star Wars book. But so everything starts to come back to him, and somehow, some way, I'm not exactly sure how he does it, but he breaks the chains, and it gets free somehow. They didn't really explain that, you know.
He basically said, like, he can't get this thing off his face, but he was able to break the chain, so he feels like the chains were kind of just like a setup, you know, to kind of distract him for a period of time, I guess.
Because you get that narration that's that I think comes, you know, I think that's because of where the author's background is. Like, I don't think it's Black Bolt's thoughts or somebody who has anything to do with the story. I just think it's like what R.L. Stein does in Man Thing. You know, it's like the author's narration.
Right. Yeah, that's what I picked up.
Which is kind of cool. I liked that in Man Thing, and it's pretty cool here too.
Yeah, it's where it worked in Man Thing. The story just, you know, we won't talk about Man Thing anyway. Black Bolt. Black Bolt, as he's freed from, you know, his prison chains, starts walking through this maze, I get, or is this going on through his mind?
It's in the prison, because the prison is ridiculous like that. I forget the exact name of it. I heard the name of the prison in Inhumans Prime. He said exactly where he was taking Maximus, but they don't say it in this issue for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe the author didn't read that book, I don't know, or research the name of it, or felt it was like an important fact or whatnot. But, you know, it's like the cover of the next All New Guardians issues, where you're going like up the stairs, down the stairs. There's a name for it, I forget what it's called, but while he's doing that, you know, he's getting his memories back of what Maximus did to him, you know, and you could see it in like these they look like doorways, but, you know, I think that's just what's going on in his mind while he's making his way through this maze.
Yeah.
So he knows Black Bolt knocks him out, and
so it seems like he's walking forever until he eventually, you know, reaches this point where he smashes this machine. Is that what I'm picking up on?
Well, what he hears, like he hears someone screaming in the distance, like
Oh
someone
yeah,
being
yeah. That's what
tortured.
this part is. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and then he runs down to this room and he sees this child being tortured, and he just runs and smashes that machine, and the kid's dead. But then he hears again, "Name your crimes, repent your crimes," like, which I'm not sure if that's like particular to him because that's not in his head. Someone's yelling that for him, or
Right. Yeah. That I feel like that's echoing throughout the prison.
yeah, and after he friggin' destroys that machine, he hears something from behind him, and it's that guy Creel.
Yeah.
And he says, you're a good guy for trying. He's like, but you should be worrying about yourself, not that kid. Yeah.
It's I find it so weird the way that they use like the bad guys, this Absorbing Man for
Yes.
example. Like what the hell is they're in space somewhere. What the fuck is Absorbing Man?
Doing that. That's what I thought. And I was like,
Yeah.
why is Absorbing Man there? First of all, I think he's like a Luke Cage bad guy. He's like more of a street villain bad guy. He's not like a cosmic bad guy. So I don't know how he ended up.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. bad guy in the TV stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's not like a cosmic level threat or anything. So he's like the dude that just shows up to the party. Like, what are you doing here, man? I don't know how you got the invite, but I wish you'd show yourself, the fuck out.
And then next to him, there's a Skrull, and then a bunch of indistinguishable, like multi-alien races in the background. Yeah. So he's finally found everybody else in the prison, which I don't think is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, they end up mixing it up essentially, and Black Bolt, of course, kicks his ass. And he's like, "Oh, well, that's good. You're a good fighter because you're gonna need it for what's next, basically."
Yeah. Because he tells him where he's like, you might want to go run this place. He's the guy who runs this place is down the hall. You're gonna get through me to get to him. Like, which is funny because Black Bolt didn't even ask. Maybe it's like, and it's not even an expression you could read on his face because he's still got the muzzle on.
Yeah.
Not that it makes a difference.
At this point, he also does get he did get punched in the face at one point by Absorbing Man, which did loosen this muzzle, so he's able to break it off on his walk to face this final big bad. Do you have any idea who this dude is? All in change? Is it his brother, maybe?
No, that Maximus is with the royal family in Royals. Actually, that was just revealed in Royals #2 that they found out that it's not Black Bolt. But I have no clue who this guy is. I'm assuming he's like the cosmic warden of this prison. He kind of looks like Death. He's gigantic with the chain, and he's got that like sheet over his face, that red sheet. But
he's
I think
fucked up looking.
That's the guy yelling, "Name your crimes, repent your crimes." And I love how Black Bolt, he smashes the face mask off, like ready to go, and he thinks he's gonna be all bad as fuck, and he yells, he lightly says stop because normally that's what all it would take, and then like nothing comes out, and then the look in his eye is like a scared puppy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Like he knows he's against somebody against his size and stature and probably power. He's got no hope if his voice ain't working. So
yeah, and what I like about that is you can see it in his face. Like, as far as the art's concerned, like it's conveyed really well that he's like, oh fuck,
Yeah, like stops being stylized in these 2 panels here where he finally clears everything up and he's like, all right, let's show some emotion.
Yeah, and this panel, this page looks great. Like, looks pretty good actually, like for the style of art that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very conflicted about that because at first I hated it, and then as I went through the book, I feel like I enjoyed it more. But I still, in the end, I was like, I don't know if this is for like a Black Bolt story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Anyway, he gets, because he has no power, gets handled by this dude in literally no time. He looks like this guy almost looks like he kills him because the way that the art fades out, he like turns to a skull.
Yeah, he does. He actually does electrocute him to death. But I think that's one of the the caveats of the prison. Is that you can die and you could come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with this last page reveal, where he's found back in his restraints, apparently perfectly fine, face to face with the little alien girl he tried to rescue earlier. who's also apparently all fine, and we zoom out and see just an overall glance of this space prison he's being kept in.
And apparently, not everybody, we learned from the kid who died and came back that not everybody comes back.
Yeah. So there's something strange going on here. We'll find out more as the book continues, I guess. So we're gonna give you our final thoughts on this as far as a buy it, borrow it, or forget it altogether. Trevor, why don't you kick things off since this is your book and your choice? Let us know what you think.
I gotta say, I was very iffy on this book. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I thought it was gonna be a pile of crap. So because my expectations were so very low, I was pretty pleasantly surprised. I thought it was I enjoyed the little bit of the mystery, of like where we are, and it's still a little mysterious, because I still don't know all the rules. Now I know some people that would annoy, but that actually intrigues me. It follows what came before from Uncanny Inhumans and Inhumans Prime. I appreciate that because I read those series. I wasn't crazy over the art at first, but over the course of the issue, I started to enjoy it because there were certain panels and frames where it was like very detailed, and even there are a couple panels, like even when he has the muzzle on, like you get good facial expressions of like anger and like despair and whatnot. But and the narration was good. The writing was pretty good. I can tell that the author comes from like a literary background where he writes books more than he writes comic books. But I really appreciated that. It's a different take, and it's not something that you get all the time. The style that this is written in, and I like that. He's in a place where he's not like king shit, and he's not completely powerful. Like he has to rely on his strength and his wits. He can't just say stop and half of the prison gets destroyed. He has to depend on himself. But this is totally for me, this is a buy. But I would say this is probably a really hard sell for most people, because not only do they not like Inhumans, but trying to sell them on a artsy Black Bolt kind of book that's a hard sell. But it's totally a buy for me. I really enjoyed it, and I was pleasantly surprised. But
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I had low expectations, so when you go into something having low expectations, it's easy to come out like really happy, even if it was pretty good.
Yeah, Carl, what'd you think?
Man, I went into this with no expectations. Like I knew very little about Black Bolt. The only thing I knew is that he spoke, and bad shit happened. And man, I was impressed with what was going on. What I want to know most is where's his powers. Like you get all the way to the end of the book, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna use my shit, make everything stop, so I can get out of here," and nothing. And then he dies. But with the art, I like Trevor. I didn't like it at first. We'll go through halfway through the book, and then you start realizing, these got extra bold lines in certain spots. The colors are brighter, and even in a dark book, just vibrant and stands out. For me, it's a borrow because I didn't really know too much about it. But I mean, if it keeps on and it gives me some of the things I'm looking for, it could be a buy later on.
Yeah. Well, so you got to borrow. Trevor's got to buy. I got just some issues with the story as far as kind of being a little repetitive in the beginning, which almost made me like I don't want to start reading it, but it did pick up as it went along. The stylized art, like you guys said, isn't awful, but it's a little distracting in a Black Bolt story that everything's just all black. I just want to see a little more of what's going on, but I get the point of the choice. I wish the way Marvel got people into the Inhumans was really kind of just focusing on one or two books instead of always branching them out into new and different books, where people have to read several books to really follow that whole clan and crew. So I would love to know more about them as characters, but I don't really know anything because series have been restarted so many times and so many different creative teams, and you never know really where to jump on or jump in. So
Yeah.
You know, that holds it against it just a little bit in my eyes, because I'm not going to naturally be drawn to a Black Bolt book when I'm not already drawn to an Inhumans book, you know, one of the main titles. So I do hold that against it just a little bit. Overall, for me, it's a forget it, but I can see if the story does stay interesting and isn't so repetitive of him trying to get out of jail next issue and failing again, you know, I can see picking interest back up in it. So that's where I'm at with it. So we got one buy, one borrow, one forget for the first Inhumans book there that we're covering. So you know, we're not all coming from the same same page there.
Yeah. One thing you could say about it, I could say, because I read of all of them, is that even though they do switch it up a lot, every single series holds true and follows what came before it. And like,
Yeah,
even if you read like a single character book, which they don't normally have, but if you read like Black Bolt or if you read Secret Warriors, it follows stuff from like those characters in the previous Inhumans books before. So if you were following Inhumans, you know where you're at. So they do a pretty good job of that.
yeah. It's just you know, if it's something you're trying to trace back from now backwards, and you keep running into new #1 series, there's fucking just confusion unless you
And
pay attention to the year they're
and changing the names,
all released.
because
Yeah,
over the last 3 years, I think we had a title called Inhumans. Then you had Uncanny Inhumans and All New Inhumans. Then Royals, Secret Warriors, and Black Bolt. So I mean, that's confusing as fuck.
yeah,
Like,
it really is. That would be like if they just had one book they would call Inhumans, and like they did with the X-Men back in the day, just all your shit goes down in the Inhumans book, and then you have maybe a mini series here or there. Like it would, I think it would catch on more that way than just constantly throwing renumbered Inhumans books at everybody and be like, oh, let's see if this one works. Oh, let's see if this
yeah,
one
because
works. You know what I'm
they
saying?
couldn't establish an audience around like one name instead of changing all the time and
Yeah.
losing people along the way. You know.
Yeah, and speaking of which, that'll bring us to our segue perfectly into our next book, which is All New Guardians of the Galaxy, #1. So, you know, another book that's constantly being renamed and renumbered and retitled, even though they're relatively popular characters, at least movie universe wise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't really have the same stigma and attachment the Inhumans have, but yet still suffer kind of the same problem if it's something you want to be up to date and abreast about. So All New Guardians of the Galaxy #1 is going to be Carl's joint to take care of and explain to us a little bit here. We got writer Jerry Duggan, artist Aaron Cooter, and Ives Sorvensina, I guess is how we've settled on pronouncing it, me and Trevitt from earlier today.
Or Santa.
Yeah, there you go. You can bear the brunt of that one. So Carl's gonna sum up this story for us here, and then me and Trevitt will chime in, having a little bit of experience with it and doing it earlier today, with some thoughts as well. So Carl, go ahead, take it away, man.
All right, man. So we have our team. They're starting off the story on Setopia, which is an impenetrable planet that has a massive vault on it. And starts off, and you got this guy trying to sell. This is where you need to store your valuables. And out of nowhere, big Galactus guy pops up. And knowing from other books, Galactus is no longer the devourer of worlds, but apparently it's not gone this far into the galaxy. Well, everyone's hauling ass to get off the planet now. And then out of nowhere, head opens up, and we have our Guardians team exiting, saying, start the clock, time to get through. They're into break into the vault and do a smash and grab, which is the title of this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get to the guy who's apparently gonna die because his lifeboat isn't gonna take off, so he's thinking that Galactus is coming to destroy the planet and he can't leave. Well, he happens to be looks like one of the only people left on the planet at this point that are there to notice that the Guardians are here, and he automatically yells heist, opens fire, team hunkers down, and Drax will not fight. Says he can't harm him. So Rocket throws Baby Groot out as a distraction, and Gamora takes care of business and kicks the dude in the face.
Yeah.
Which, if she's behind him this whole time, I don't know why they needed the distraction of Baby Groot, because it looks like she's coming from behind.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, I guess. Baby Groot is, he's just used to draw the dude's attention, I guess, while Gamora's sneaking up behind him is what you're supposed to think. I'm not sure it's really drawn the best as far as portraying that, really, but that's, I guess, what you're supposed to believe. But they do end up getting to where they need to be and take it back from there. You know, they're getting their. We don't really find out what they're getting quite yet,
right.
but
yeah,
they're something.
You got Star-Lord freezing with his elemental gun, the vault door, and he's trying to convince Drax to knock down the door for him. Drax, being in a new pacifism state, says that even destroying a small wall like this can have untold consequences, and as you'll see together, and busts out the door. Quill flies in, flies out. He's got the box. It's time to go. And as they are leaving, they stop for a second to see two people getting it on. Just, I guess the world's not ending.
Yeah, they didn't care that the world was ending. They were going to get it in one last time. No, life ships didn't matter to them. If they could get out, they were like, I'd rather do this than escape on a lifeboat, I guess.
I love Rocket having to get dragged away while he's laughing his ass off.
Laughing his ass off.
Yeah, did you see the movie yet, Carl, or no?
Yeah, I saw the movie Friday.
That like his ahahas are very reminiscent of like Drax just busting out laughing at everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my biggest complaint about this book is it's Drax. I don't know. All my experience with Galaxy Guardian stuff is through the movies, so I'm used to seeing him as this punch first, ask question later kind of guy, and now he's philosophical, and it's confused me through the whole book.
Yeah,
well, because
me and Trevor were trying to figure out when it was happening. When we talked about it earlier, I think we calculated it happened in the Grounded storyline, probably.
Yeah, we think he turned, because while he was on Earth, we think he found Buddhism or something, because he's got sitting there, soaking up the incense when they get back and shit.
Well, I just love how Rocket doesn't even put seats or anything in the Galactus ship. So how are they comfortable getting there to begin with the first time, and then blasting off? It's backs to the ground, and he's barely holding on to the controls.
I think it's just because he's the last time they probably descended slow, so now he's fucking just taking off to get the hell out of there, and they're all suffering from the G-force stuck to the goddamn floor. Yeah. I like how Rocket wants to keep the Galactus ship, though.
Yeah, I don't understand why they won't let him keep the ship.
Well, because they're all worried about what the Skrull or the Kree fucking being all pissed at them for using this Galactus Trojan horse, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what's the role of the Kree, Trev? It's like they're basically like space police, kind of like Green Lanterns, aren't they? A little bit, but they're easily corrupted too.
That's the Nova Corps.
Yeah, my fault. The Kree are just a race of people, an advanced race of people.
They have their own police force called the Accusers.
Okay.
Which is led by Ronan.
Yeah, I think they mentioned the Kree, or maybe I'm just making that the fuck up. I don't know.
They do, because I think the Kree are after them. So for all because they commit crimes everywhere all the time. So
it's so weird that they I get that's their shtick. They steal shit, but like they're also considered heroes because they end up while stealing
save the
shit,
galaxy.
running into things that save
Yeah.
the galaxy. You know what I'm saying?
They
Unintentional hero.
they leave Galactus because the Cetopian forces are gonna chase it down, you know, and they want it to be like they want them to think that they're still inside of it. So when they destroy it, they can just cruise off in the Milano like,
Yeah.
haha.
Milano's probably a lot quicker to get away in than goddamn
Oh, yeah.
giant space. Anyway, they're just hanging out in the Milano now, traveling through space. And what the hell eats them?
Oh, I don't know. It looks like some big space fish.
Yeah, that's what we thought it was too. They just really show like the head of this creepy looking Jaws. Like it looks like kind of like a Jaws movie poster.
Yeah, except it's less menacing because it's definitely like a bluegill with sharp teeth, and that's about it. Like it isn't anything. It ain't no shark. It ain't nothing big or bad.
Yeah.
After basically, Peter gets them there, and they're waiting, and no one thinks they got him in the right spot because Peter's a big screw up when it comes to directions.
Here's something I was unclear of. Maybe one of you guys knows. Is he inside like a giant space fish, or is it like the Galactus robot, like he's inside like a ship that looks like a fish?
I think it's a ship that looks like a fish because when you get to his collection, it is.
Yeah, I think it's something like that too. Until like you get through the doorway, like even in its mouth, it's still fish-like until you get through
Yeah.
this doorway, and you run into Grandmaster.
No, I don't know anything about Grandmaster.
Yeah, he's an elder of the universe.
Yeah.
They got like tons of power. They're not quite like celestial type powerhouses or like elder or like eternity, like those level of cosmic powerhouses, but
Yeah,
they're
it's like-
up there still.
Yeah, it's like a level below like eternity.
Yeah.
Someone who's been around since the beginning, like almost as old as like Galactus. Holding Galactus was from the previous universe, so
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically their area in the food chain.
Yeah, and dude's a douchebag because he basically has them go out on this job, and it's a test for the actual job, so they're not getting paid for what they just basically stole.
Yeah, and it was property technically of the collector, because he asked them to go do this job, which would be going against the collector, and they're like, I'm not fucking with the collector, dude. And he's like, well, too bad you already did. And we talked about earlier too, the universe is essentially like a black Men in Black pocket universe type thing that was on the dog's
Busts
neck.
open, destroys
They
the
were all
universe.
stressed out about. Yeah. So untold power in the palm of your hand.
Yeah. Just like how Master Assassin Gamora just tries to slice his throat open and phases right through him.
Yeah,
he's
she
like,
don't stand a
Yeah,
chance.
one murder attempt's enough for today, and tortures her with his powers because she
Yeah,
goes
he just
crazy
basically
right
flicks her
after.
aside. Well, here's as they end up just leaving from there, I guess resigning themselves to do the job. You see an outside shot, like the tail end of this giant fish. It looks like an angelfish more like anything, really. Now,
Yeah,
to be
it looks
honest,
like an
with you.
angelfish.
And then they're just kind of wandering around the Milano, talking with each other.
wow, he's insanely powerful.
Uh,
Sorry, I was
no.
reading about
yeah, no, you're good. And then you want to get into this cliffhanger here while they're throwing around the ship, what they get into.
Well, they're walking around the ship. You got Rocket going around, and he says Drax has completely lost his mind. Drax is wanting to just shut up and meditate, inhale all these incenses. Then you got Gamora sneaking around, being a master assassin. She's doing her little space kung fu and this weird get up. And then she basically says that she's confused why Groot hasn't regenerated after he's lost limbs before, and they don't know what's going on. So, but he doesn't think anybody's noticed because of how busy they've been. You get this cliffhanger with this guy planting a little piece of a tree. He says, "Grow strong, young one," and it goes into like a big old pan out of that field, and you're looking like it's basically group like creatures growing out of the ground.
Yeah. So that's how our book ends. We gotta wait for next issue. Not like the X-Men books. This is a monthly jobber, so you're gonna have to wait till next month to find out. You don't get another taste in 2 weeks like you do with the X-Men.
Well, I mean, with the 3 Guardians of the Galaxy books out right now, you get another taste next week with Mother Entropy 2 coming out.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
mini series. They're looks like they're doing DC style.
Really?
Just putting it out in consecutive weeks, and there it is for your consumption. You know.
I got
Yeah.
a couple of cool facts about the Grand Master if you guys are interested.
Well, why don't you save them for our midpoint marvelous facts here coming
Alright, that
up
works.
after we do our thoughts. So your book here, Carl, why don't you kick things off? Tell us whether you would buy, borrow, or forget altogether the All New Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, this one here, when I came into this, I wasn't expecting too much. Haven't only Guardians of the Galaxy I've done are the 2 movies, so I wasn't expecting too much in aspects of it. But what I got really delivered story wise. The art the first time around, I didn't really care for it, but the second time that I went through reading it, it was more of a enjoyable experience. Like the colors were bright, it had the cartoon feel, sort of like you could put it as an animated TV series right out of the books. It for what I got from it, it was good. Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm gonna rate it as a buy. I'd get this one.
All right, so buy for Carl. Trevin, how about you, man?
Oh, well, I really enjoyed this book. For some reason, you know, the Guardians just aren't some of my favorite characters. Like I'm mildly interested in them, but this book didn't bore me at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I guess I want to say the Guardians are not my cup of tea, but reading this book, I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the art. The story was good. It's a borrow for me just because I don't know. It just, you know, it still doesn't grab me the way I want it to. Like, you know what I mean? Like an Avengers book. Like, I don't get excited for Guardians, so it's just like a personal. I mean, I would say if you love the cosmic stuff and you've always liked Guardians of the Galaxy, you should probably take a buy at it. But if you never really cared too much about Guardians of the Galaxy, like myself, even though it's a great book and Aaron Cooter does a great job, Jerry Duggan did a really good job, it's a borrow for me.
Yeah. You know, as I said earlier, other than the mildly confusing ending where I feel like the story kind of totally out of nowhere, like switched courses rather drastically. You know what I'm saying? It took me by surprise. I liked really kind of everything else, like the tone of the book, how it was funny. You know, I like Duggan and how he does Deadpool, and you could it didn't feel like a Deadpool book, but you could see like a similar type of humor in it in that regards. And I thought the heist elements of the story were exciting, and the twists were pretty intriguing. So, you know, I liked it for the most part. Again, with the exception of the ending, and I thought the art was suitable. I would have liked it to be maybe a little better, but that's kind of nitpicking. So I would rate this one as a buy for me. Out of the 2 space books, if I had a choice, I guess between Black Bolt and Guardians that we're looking at this week, it would definitely be a Guardians choice for me personally. Just more exciting, more goofy, jokey, up my alley. So, you know, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to get to something called the Midpoint Marvelous Facts. Why don't we actually take a quick stop here? I'm going to stop everything, go to the bathroom, get a drink, and then we can finish up. You want to do that?
Yeah,
Sounds
that's fine.
good.
All right, cool. So I'm going to hit stop.